you need to specifically go create value. You want to know what I'm doing with my night tonight? I'm going to one of my flips and I'm the freaking trash out demo crew, because I've got a group of kids that are looking for ways to add value so that they can get some money so that they can pay for the things that they want to go and do. So we are going to go trash out a house.
Jason, thank you for joining me on our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we really like to shine an industry spotlight on experts like yourself, hear your inspiring stories and how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, really excited to welcome on our friend, Jason Lewis. I know we've known each other for years through Collective Genius. Going to see you here coming up soon. But you personally are an entrepreneur, investor, family leader, been in the real estate world since 2012 and have built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses. You're the founder of Creation Utah, which is a $4 million plus a year flipping and wholesaling business. You're the co-founder of the Investor Machine, a top direct mail company in the industry. And beyond business, you're really committed to living and leading with purpose in your family life too, which I really admire. So Jason, welcome on, man. Thanks for taking time out.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Yeah, I think David and I sat next to each other on our first, we joined CG in the same class and we were the new guys sitting next to each other at about the same time. And I've actually been a DealMachine customer, I think about that long. But I remember when I first did my very first presentation on lists and the way I was building lists and doing lists and things like that, I talked about two things. One, we figured out this really cool new way of doing lists between motivations and our algorithm and everything else that works really well, and driving for dollars rocks. So I've been drinking the DealMachine Kool-Aid for a long time.
Well, that means a lot, man. Appreciate you jumping in, and it's awesome that you've known David that long too. So you guys have come a long way for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, can you tell me more? I know I read a little bit about your background and heard that, but can you tell us more about your personal journey, how you got into this world? I always love hearing kind of that origin story here.
Yeah. So my origin story is a little bit different. So I'm not like your standard like entrepreneur, high risk taking type of person. I was raised in a super middle class family and was kind of told like, hey, go get a job, go become an engineer, become a doctor, become a lawyer. Something like that is like the way forward. I also started my, graduated high school, went on a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, came back. It was November 2008, which is like right when everything massively crashed. So like security was the name of the game. I picked the safest thing I could find, radiation therapy, cancer's not going anywhere. Made it through, graduated, got my first part-time job in it and was like, oh my gosh, I didn't take into account that I hate this and I can't do it for the rest of my life. This is not fun at all. So I decided to go and try to become go try to figure out real estate investing, which at this point, this is 2012, like right at the bottom of the market. Real estate investors were hard to come by, but I did find one. And I hit him up for a job and he told me, no, thanks. So I hit him up a second time. He told me, dude, still don't want you. So I hit him up a third time. He said, still don't want you. So that time I said, tell you what, I'm going to make you a deal. I'm going to be here tomorrow and I'm going to provide as much value as I can. And you don't even have to pay me anything. I'm just going to come and provide value. And the next day and the next day and the next day. And my only request is if at some point I'm really, really providing value along the way, you just look at that and say, you know what, I'll pay you the value that you're creating at that point. And he said, that's pretty hard to say no to. I guess I'm in. So I worked for him for free for a month. We shared the same desk in the same little office. And then at that point, he was like, wow, you worked your way into everything that I do. I don't see how I'd keep doing this without you. So I guess you're here to stay. He started paying me from there. At that point, we were flipping basically about a home a month. And we worked together for the next 5 years. I started basically as the guy getting lunch and just doing whatever and grew to what we'd call like COO, basically running all of the different departments besides construction while he was visionary driving forward. Did that for 5 years. And then that's when I ultimately started Creation Utah at that point. So that's kind of like the very early origin story to all of this.
Yeah. Man, working from working for free to COO like that's pretty that's an awesome awesome mindset, man, and an impressive journey. When you started Creation Utah, like what was the trigger that you're like, oh, I'm ready for this, like I'm gonna take the leap on my own?
Yeah, so we'd been there for 5 years, and I mean, we'd grown. I'd been there for 5 years. We'd grown pretty big. We were doing 150 deals a year, and we had a lot of strengths, a lot of things that went great. But eventually, it just wound up ultimately not being a fit for me to stay there. He and I are still good friends now, but it just wasn't as much of a fit then, based on where the business was at and everything else. And so I decided to venture out on my own and do my own thing. And luckily, at that point, I'd already been through this once and grown it once. So Creation Utah grew lightning quick. So I started September 2017, and then got through that first little bit. But I mean, quite profitable by the first year. I think I did $1 million the first year, $2 million the second year, $3 million the fourth year, or $3 million the third year, and then have continued to grow and kind of stayed in that $3-4 million range ever since in terms of like assignment fees in the Salt Lake City market. That company's fully built out. I've got an amazing COO that runs the show, 3 acquisition managers, a full dispo team, a construction side for the homes that we remodel, lead managers, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah. I ask because I know we've got plenty of people that watch this that are debating taking that jump. Maybe they're in a full-time gig and they're like, oh, should I do something on my own here? So I always appreciate kind of hearing your mindset and journey there. Do you have any nuggets on, you said grew lightning quick like that first year? I'd love to hear, a little bit of that blueprint of what was working so well.
Yeah. So for me, I had done well at saving my pennies along the way. So I knew that I had like a runway and I had room to be wrong, basically. And I will say, like, I don't know that I'm the perfect one for this because I had a number of backup plans that I had in terms of like people that I could partner with, people that would pay me for things like that, based off of having really been in the industry already. I would say it was probably a smaller leap for me than it is for that average person that's going to be really like jumping in. And I don't want to make it more than it is. It was that I put in a lot of effort to make it so that it was a fairly small risk for me to jump in and do it on my own.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. As you jumped into that, what sparked you, for Investor Machine? Like, what led you to that?
Yep, that's a great question. So, the company I was at before, we were really big on networking and relationships and flipping, and I wanted to not necessarily be in the exact same lane as them, kind of pave my own. So, I wanted to do marketing and assigning contracts. Started and got really, really good at marketing, got really good at building lists. We figured out how to go direct to the county. So, there's the fairly easy to get motivations like notice of default, some liens and things like that everybody has that you can get everywhere. Then there's the deeper, harder to get motivations. These are like the probates, the water shutoffs, the code enforcements, all sorts of motivations like that. Divorces, evictions, ones that you have to go directly to the courthouse or directly to the county, and every single courthouse and county and everything else or city does it different. And so there's not like a really good national aggregation for it. So started getting those along with my driving for dollars, getting those lists and mailing them, and it worked. So because of that, I had some friends, first one being Stephen Williams in the Bay Area, said, hey, what you're doing is definitely working. Do you think you could try it for me? So I said, sure. So I actually, way back then, I actually don't usually share this detail in this story, but way back then, I hired a driving for dollars guy for him in the Bay Area because driving for dollars works. And I hired additional virtual assistants to get directly into his county and get and pull all these same motivations out. And then we worked the same system that I did here, and then it worked for him. Then I had another friend in Idaho ask me to do the same thing. Then I had another friend in Virginia Beach ask me to do the same thing. And then from there, I met my partner, Mike, who runs Investor Fuel. And he had a big network of people we then started Investor Machine, and the rest is history. Blew up from there. People told friends, and people continue to get good results. And now we've done over 50 million in super high quality lists and direct mail ever since.
Amazing. Yeah. I love, you given the tips on how to think about lists and whatnot. And I'm sure it's, one of the top questions you hear often on like, how do I build a list? What do I, what works today? So I love any best practices you have on that front to share. I know you're always such a, analytical thinker when it comes to your CG presentations and things. So I definitely, always appreciate the knowledge you can drop on us there. So besides driving for dollars, which I appreciate the shout outs on that front, how do you think about list building, what's working today and even what's not working?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, and that is the right question for me, because man, if there is one question that I have thought about and worked on more than any other in my whole life, it's how do I make the list better and what's working? So the first thing that I will say from having done this, and this was a massive, like Jason got slapped in the face. The answer is it depends. The same list that performs really well in St. Louis is not the same list that performs really well in Tampa, is not the same list that performs really well in Boston. Each different individual area performs differently. So I'm going to talk, are you okay if I talk like the ideal? Assuming you have unlimited resources and you want to do the ideal, this is what I would do. And then you can figure out what you want to apply from that without having unlimited resources. So in this space, I have basically unlimited resources. So this is what I do. So I'm going to talk about what I do with unlimited resources. So the first thing that I would do is I would figure out who is selling to an investor in this area. So, and not just any investor, I would figure out who's selling to Jason and who's selling to people just like Jason. What is the avatar of that seller? Who's selling and who's not selling? Because you're going to find in some places that is ideally a probate, or that is ideally a home built between 1965 and 1943, or a home that is between 800 and 1,600 square feet. And by the way, the thing with all of these too is it's not just is that the person or is it not? It's how likely is the person in this area, right? Does someone in a 2,400 square foot home sell to someone like Jason? Yes. They sell more likely than the 800 square footer? No. So what's the difference in likelihood between the 800 square footer and the 2,400 square footer? Then you have to look at every aspect of that person. You got to look at how old they are, what types of things they like to do, whether or not they have a divorce or an eviction or a water shutoff notice, how big the house is, how long they've lived in the house, how much equity they have in the house, and 50 other things you go take and analyze to create this, okay, based off of this new person that hasn't, so we build a buy box around who has sold to investors in the past, looking at all of these things, the hot motivations, everything else. Then you run it through an AI machine learning and then come back and say, okay, now I've told you who sold to investors in the past in this area. Now go look at everybody else. And now let's go score everybody and say, now who's going to sell to an investor next? That's the holy grail. That's what's ultimately works the best, utilizing all technology, all lists out there, as well as, predictive analytics around who has ultimately sold in the past. You can call it a shipwreck magic fairy dust list. You can name it whatever you want. But ultimately, if you want to know, hey, what's the thing that's going to work? It's that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense logically where it's like, hey, reverse engineer what's already working, right? Like I love the thought process. So the other thing that, I mean, you've got the list building side, right? Like that's, I know you're that go-to guy, especially within, these networking groups that have really high volume guys that are super high performing, like the ones we've been a part of. The other side that I always hear people asking about as well is mail and saying, okay, with this list, how do I actually get their attention? How do I get a hold of them? What works there? So could you kind of give us your, a little bit of insight into how you think about direct mail strategy there? Again, what's working, what's not on that front too?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to think about with that's successful. I'll go with one of the boring and most basic first, but that's real. Send it. Um, the secret to the secret number one to direct mail working is sending it. And I laugh about that, but like pre-investor machine, my mail was working. And at the end of the year, I found out that on average, I'd sent mail like 3 out of 4 weeks. I missed at least 1 week out of every month or 1 month out of every quarter, basically, just because I was busy taking care of all the leads, or I had some new split test I wanted to run, or I was waiting on this list or that, or I wanted to talk to so-and-so about what was working, and I just didn't send it. So I am an investor machine customer. It is what generates more of my leads, more of my contracts, more of my deals than anything else. I also do digital. I also do PPL. I also do, there's a variety of marketing that I do, but my personal rock is investor machine. So for me, pre-investor machine, oftentimes I would just not send it. Knowing that they send it for me every single week is a big difference maker. Number two, I'm going to go from most boring to least boring on this one. So number two, budget. If you want to spend $500 on mail, I would tell you stick that in the bank and save your pennies, and get to where you can spend at least $3 to $4 grand a month on mail. And you need to be able to wait a month or two, maybe 3, to be able to get that first deal along the way. And by the way, each of these things along the way we help with. So we're like a full one-stop shop turnkey. We're going to do the list. We're going to do the full mail strategy. We're going to do everything. You pay the bill and then give us the green light, tell us it looks good, and we'll do everything else. But you can overspend on mail. You can underspend on mail. There's a sweet spot that you want to get into budget-wise. Same thing with timing, how frequently you send. This one, again, a little less boring, but still kind of boring. There's some people you want to hit every 30 days. There's some people you want to hit every 60 days. There's some people you don't want to hit at all. There's some people you want to hit further out. What day of the week it hits matters. If you mail that person on a Saturday, you're going to get a substantially lower return than if you mail that person on a Tuesday, for example. So each of these things along the way matters. And then frequency, how many times do you hit them until they respond? The question that most people ask, now we're getting to the more interesting, is what creative do I send? So I'm the right one to ask this one too. So across my 50 million that we've sent, not for all of it, but we started about 2 years ago giving our members the option we put a phone number on there that rings basically both of us at the same time. So it rings us and then immediately rings to them. So we can see all the calls that come in. We can see and have an idea of the quality of each of those calls, have an idea of how the phone's being answered, etc. So that has given us an enormous data set across hundreds of thousands of responses to be able to say, okay, we sent this creative and it got this response rate and this many was positive. Okay, we tried this thing, we tried that thing. I can tell you everything from, like, I can tell you a female name gets you the best response rate, followed by a male name. They're pretty close, and then a distant drop down to company name. I can tell you if you put a website on, your response rate goes down because you're driving people to the digital world. That can be good, but you can also send them to all of your competition, everything else. Your response rate comes down quite a bit. I can tell you the difference between how a red, yellow, green, orange, blue, white postcard responds. And it's crazy how different each one of those things along the way could be. But in terms of, and then again, same thing, it's very different in different places what creatives work the best. There's a lot of people that really like check letters. We probably have, I'd say, a quarter of our clients doing check letters. They work, but they definitely also create a lot of noise along the way. Postcards, a general rule I would say is uglier. Like the kind of ugly, basic, simple is better. I hate that. I'm a professional guy. I would way rather have or see this beautiful professional postcard of, like, the team and people shaking hands and just look like the good professionals, right? But for whatever reason, it just performs like trash. It's the stupid, doodly, yellow, ugly postcards that tend to ultimately perform the best by and large. Again, we see it vary from place to place, but that's the medium length answer on what to specifically send out.
No, that's great. I mean, I love how tactical that is. Is there I know it depends per location, right? But is that final thing you said there, is that the one big impactful tip? It's like, hey, if you take one thing away, change this about your mail, or
Yeah.
do you have anything that
Yeah,
is right
pretty
there?
universal. If you're sending a
Yeah.
professional, like bigger card that's like all printed and solid graphics,
Yeah.
change that. Go for something much more simple, and you'll have a better, and things will go better for you. I can't think of any market where that one doesn't apply.
Awesome. Well, love that advice, man. You know, one, just to shift gears a little bit here, one thing I did mention in the intro as well is you're, you know, super sharp guy in the business world, but also definitely admire you on how you think about family, how you think about balance. You know, you've told me a little bit, saying like, hey, you've had quite a personal journey of kind of figuring out how to live a balanced life. Can you tell us more about that and what you've learned along the way to share with our, you know, audience as well?
Sure. Yeah. So one other thing to know about me, I have 6 kids. So we did 5 kids in 5 years, took a 4-year break, and then had one more. So my kids range from 13 to 1. Uh, so yeah, that's of all the things that I've done, that's the part that has been the most challenging, is doing it while also trying to be really good husband and father along the way. So I'd say, you know, core principle number one is get a great team. I have an amazing COO at each company that help run the day, followed by great teams that help them, so that I can focus largely on vision, driving things forward, and live an overall balanced life. I mean, between the companies, I think it's like 80 people uh, that work for me. It would ease, and you know, a lot of challenges, problems, everything else. Without a really good team, you're gonna sink. Um, but but it also requires discipline to say, hey, like, I'm in the game time. By, you know, I've got a couple years from now with my oldest to where he's not really listening to me anymore, and I've spent 75-80% of the total time that I'm going to spend with him for his life. Even though, like, there's always this, I'm going to get to this point and then I'll be able to focus on family, and then I'll be able to focus on family. For me, my belief is that time is now. And guess what? When I'm 50 and the kids are mostly raised, work is still going to be here, and I'll probably be in a fantastic spot to be able to really crush it work wise. But I'm never going to get this exact age and phase back with my kids. So it's kind of become a big focus. You know, the stats are kind of scary. You look at, especially like first generation millionaires, you look at what winds up happening to their kids. It's not good. On average, 70% of wealth passed down is gone. 70% of the time by the first generation, that any wealth legacy you have is gone, and 90% is gone by the second generation. The likelihood of your kids ultimately standing on your shoulders and building their own, you know, empires and businesses and making significant impact in the world, statistically, it's not high. So you can't just go do the thing that would come natural to you, or that most successful business owners are doing, and have it work out well. So I've been very intentional about trying to learn. Okay, and it's by the way, it's the exact same thing that I do with data, right? It's okay, who's successful at this? Like, let's study them. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what the principles are, and then let's go and do that. And by the way, all my success in business has been the same thing: reading business books, studying people that are successful, and then saying, okay, now I want to go and do and be the same way. So I've spent a lot of time as of late studying people that are as successful in family life as I did people that were successful in business life. So this is, I would say, there's 100 things I could talk about, but I'll focus on more just this one. And that is, if you want your kids, you know, if you want your kids to maintain a good relationship, if you want them to not be, the other crazy one is, it's like half of all people between the ages of 18 and 34 in the United States still have their parents paying one of their bills for them, right? Like, they're still paying this, like, you got your 33-year-old and you're still paying the cell bill, you're still helping out with rent, you're still whatever. If you don't want to be that, as early as possible, you need to teach your kids to be able to create value. So the book that I read on this is a book called Scott. So my favorite of all the things I've read on this is a book by a guy named Scott Donnell. It's called The Value Creation Kid. There's an app that goes with it called the Dinner Table app. He's got another group that he has that I'm in. And this is like all of the best stuff that I've always been looking for is in here. So I'll give you just kind of a couple of the points from there.
Yeah, I was going to mention really briefly here too. My direct mentor, John Hall is his name. That I was our CEO for the company before this as well. He knows Scott well, and he's recommended this book to me multiple times. So I'm definitely on the same page here. I love. Go ahead.
Yeah, Scott's great. I've talked to him as well. I mean, he is what he teaches. So it's the principle of value creation. You need to teach your kid to be a person that creates value. One of the shortcuts to doing that is they need a reason to create value. So as parents, we want to give our kids everything. Like, we didn't have everything, we want to give our kids everything. It's exactly the wrong thing to do. What you need to do is, starting from when they're about my twins' age, like 6, 7, there starts to increasingly becoming things that you're now not paying for. So starts with simple things like, hey, you're going to a friend's birthday party. I'm not paying for the gift for your friend. You want to give your sister a Christmas present? Daddy's not paying for that. You need to pay for that. Then it can grow into a few more activities. It can grow into paying for extracurriculars. It can grow into paying for clothes, things like that. If they want these things, they have to be able to pay for them. Well, how do they get to pay for them? Allowance? No. Like, think about the principles that you're teaching with allowance, right? Like, hey, let's have the government, which is dad, just pay you just for kind of being, right? No, you need to specifically go create value. And then you give them a whole world where they can go and do and create value. I will tell you, again, you've heard my resume. You want to know what I'm doing with my night tonight? I'm going to one of my flips and I'm the freaking trash out demo crew, which I have not done that in ever. And I've now done, in this company, coming up on 900 transactions. In the last company, it was well over 1,000. And the number of times I've demoed and trashed out a house rhymes with Nero. Why am I doing it tonight? Because I've got a group of kids that are looking for ways to add value so that they can get some money so that they can pay for the things that they want to go and do. So I've got the trailer hooked up to the truck, and we are going to go trash out a house, me and my kids and some of their friends that are all looking to get paid, because that's work that they can specifically go and do. It's going to provide value, and they're going to be able to go and get paid. Then with that money gets put into multiple buckets. You have the you can spend it bucket. That's their favorite one. Then you have the save for tomorrow bucket. Then you have the give back bucket. That's tithing. That's give back. So when we choose to give, the whole family is giving from their hard-earned money, not kids get to give dad's money. So ultimately builds confidence and builds principles of like, okay, this is how I save, this is what I spend. And the cool part is the kids are constantly on the lookout for how do I create value? How do I add value? We've done kid entrepreneur fairs in the last little bit where one of them selling fizz, like dirty sodas with different flavors in them, not alcohol. One of them selling cotton candy popcorn. And every single time we go, they come back and they're iterating on their business ideas. And it's like, okay, what did we do wrong? How do we do better? How do we get this to work better for the next time? So on and so forth. It's the exact type of thinking that led me to my success that you totally miss out on if you're not giving, and you want to give them these opportunities while they're under your roof. So again, the principles behind all things Scott Donald are way wider than this. I'm just taking one and going deep with it because it's been super impactful for us.
Mm-hmm. You did a great job explaining that as well. I mean, I think I love the takeaway on how to think about chores, like you said as well. I mean, that's how we've kind of built out our little family opportunities as well as, hey, you've got different ways you can create value and corresponding value earned for that, right? So I love the approach, man. I think overall, like, definitely might have to have you back on here to dig even deeper on the family stuff, because I could talk about that all day. But really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, but you're giving so much value to our audience as well. And we'll be hanging out here at CG here soon. So
yeah, Monday, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It depends on when you're watching this, right? But I'll say, how can our audience connect with you? Love to be able to include those links in the bio and everything, and make sure that people can connect with you as well.
Yeah, I'll make sure I get you over all those links. The investormachine.com is our website. If you want to learn more there, that'd be great. If you mention DealMachine, I'll get you an extra special deal. And I'm Jason R. Lewis 12 on Instagram, but don't expect much. I am not. There's things I'm good at. There's things I'm not good at. Social media isn't one of them yet, but if it ever gets good someday, that'll be a good spot to find me too.
Perfect. Well, Jason, really appreciate you coming on. We'll link to all those in the description here as well. Again, always appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to do it again. So
awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. And to everyone watching, Matt Camp over here with DealMachine, and happy deal finding.